Hello there, gentlefolk and cacti, and welcome to my channel. I apologise for that. It won't happen again. Anyway, here is my Gusto Synchron deck profile. Basically, I love this art type because it's a nice mix of sort of defensive, stally recruiting and aggressive OTK type style. So yeah, I just really love the unique style of the deck, and that's why I'm profiling it for you today. But also, like I say, it's a Gusto Synchron build, so I thought, why not show you something a bit different? Because yeah, that's the aim of my channel. This is my first video, but I aim to bring you content which shows just some pretty interesting decks where possible. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So we have 3 Winda, 3 Gulldo, and 3 Egul. And all together they form the Gusto Recruiter loop. So basically Gulldo will search this and it will search this, in the same way that Winda will search both of these. Egul will search Winda and it will search your other pieces in the deck, such as Pilica and Caam. And yeah, they all have to be destroyed by battle to get their effects, with the exception of Gulldo, who gets this effect whenever it's sent to the graveyard. So even though it misses timing for Synchro summoning, you do get its effect when it's Torrential or Dark Cold, so that's pretty handy. But the 3 together are just a really nice defensive core. And you can just stall behind them if you can't make any plays, so it's great. And then, because of course you recruit with those, you have a lot of them in your graveyard after a while, or at least that's the idea. So you shuffle them back in with this card to draw a card once per turn. So if you have this out more than one turn, you're in a good place, and you can get it out with Egul, so it's really nice. Caam is delicious. And our new card from Primal Origins, which convinced me to buy this deck actually. Our delicious Pilica with her orange and green hair and unknown companion, which will hopefully be released at a later date. But yeah, anyway, it really is fantastic. It makes the deck so much better, makes Sphreez so much easier to get out. But essentially, when it's normal or special summoned, you could target 1 Wind Tuner in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position and its effects negated. You can only summon wind monsters for the rest of the turn after you do that, and you can only use the effect once per turn. But it's just fantastic. It's a 1-card synchro. It can get Egul, Gulldo, and because we're running a Synchron engine, it can get Quickdraw Synchron, because Quickdraw Synchron is a level 5 Wind Tuner, which is the target for this card. So you can go into level 4, level 6, level 8, or rank 3. So it's just, despite the wind attribute requirement for what you summon, it's too great not to run 3 of. So and this is where the build gets a bit more funky, a bit more jazzed up, because we have our 3 Griffin, which most Gusto builds do not run, because they don't usually have a discard outlet. However, we have a discard outlet for it in the form of Quickdraw with this variant. So essentially, Griffin, its effect is when it's sent from your hand to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Gusto monster from your deck. And Quickdraw, you can discard 1 monster from your hand to special summon it. So the 2 work brilliantly if you have them together, which is the aim. So you discard this to special summon this. That triggers Griffin's effect. You summon any Gusto from your deck you wouldn't, but Pilica is a good target, so we'll use her as an example. And then that triggers Pilica's effect to summon a Wind Tuner from your graveyard, and then this is kind of dictated by what you have in your graveyard, but Gulldo, for example. So you have 3 monsters there, and you haven't even normal summoned. So that's just fantastic, really. I mean, you can easily get 2 synchros out, if not more, on the turn you do that. So as you can see, even though there is a defensive element, you can definitely explode in this deck, and that's why I like it. So, but Synchrons work well with Gustos for other reasons, such as this one too, because this is pretty much an instant level 5 synchro when you get it out, or failing in that, you can summon Eagle with it installed. So yeah, I mean, why not? We're running tuning for consistency, so if you already have the quick draws you need, then you can always search this instead. So that's 21 monsters, I think. 41 card deck. I apologise that it's 41 because, yeah, I'm a bit OCD like most people are, and I really like it to be at 40, but I found it so hard to choose, so sorry. But yeah, spells, 3 MST, back row hate because this deck can be screwed over by it, and we don't want that to happen, so 2 tuning, as I've said, to increase consistency, because if you have 3 Griffin and 3 Quick Draw, you're not always going to have them together. However, if you have Griffin and you don't have Quick Draw, obviously this helps you get to Quick Draw. You essentially have 5 Quick Draws in your deck by having this, but I don't run 3 because you don't want to open with lots of these and multiples of Quick Draw, because obviously you want to be able to discard Griffins. You don't want to have to discard other cards and waste your resources. But yeah, if push comes to shove, you can always search Junk Synchron off of this too, hence partly why we run it. So you've got at least 2 choices when you draw into tuning. Supply Squad. From the recent star deck, brilliant card. Of course, when a monster is destroyed by battle or card effect, draw a card. And with your recruiters, if you get the recruiters effect, that's a +1 because you're drawing and getting your recruit. So yeah, it's fantastic. If it was a pure build, I'd be tempted to run 3, but because it's a Sync 1 build and we're a bit more aggressive, you have to be more militarian with our choices. In the same way that Gusto monster count, we had to be quite militarian with what I put in there too, because you can't really afford to put in Gusto monsters you don't essentially need when you've got room constraints like this. But yeah, anyway, 1 contact with Gusto for recycling. Shuffle from your graveyard into your deck Gusto monsters, 2 of them, and you destroy a card. And you can grab this with Sphreez, which a lot of people don't necessarily realise, I don't think. But yeah, it's great if you can grab it with Sphreez. You can get 2 pops per turn, and if you've got a full graveyard. Soul Charge. I only have 1, but I'd only run 1 because you can't use your battle phase the turn you activate Soul Charge. Well, just imagine how ridiculous this card would be if you could have your battle phase. But I mean, we can all dream, right? But yeah, you want the element of surprise when you summon Sphreez or when you summon some of your other cards. So not having your battle phase can hurt. Plus, you recycle a lot. So even though you can fill your graveyard, you are returning things to your deck a lot. So I think 1's a good number. Otherwise, it could be inconsistent. 1 Mind Control because it's a synchro deck. Do I need to say more? I think not. 1 Creature Swap. Just swapping a recruiter, getting something decent off your opponent, and then getting your recruiter's effect when you destroy it is just fantastic. So have to win at least 1. Dark Hole. It triggers Gulldo, but how? Like I needed a reason. It's Dark Hole. So yeah, that's the spells. Moving on to traps. Now, effects are quite a problem for this deck at times. So the traps try and accommodate for that. Usually, you don't mind your opponent attacking, but you don't want their effects. Like, you've got recruiters. If they attack it, you've got supply squads too, so if they attack you, it's probably going to help you, if anything. Fill your graveyard, recruit more. However, you don't want the effects. You don't want them to banish. You don't want them to return things to your hand. So Breakthrough is great at preventing the effects, but allowing the attacks. You can also mill it with tuning, so hey, if you get lucky. However, you do make synchros more frequently than in a pure build, so if you need to protect them, it's nice to negate effects and attacks. So that's what Fiendish Chain is there for, 2 of those. So that's 4 effect negates. 1 Trapstone. I'd run more, but not all decks run traps or many traps, so it just helps your players get off if MST doesn't hit key cards. Call of the Haunted. It's great to do this to Pilica on your opponent's turn, because even though it only gets its you only summon a Wind Tuner off of its effect once per turn if you do it during your opponent's turn, and then come your turn you can do it again if you have another Pilica. So explosive plays for days. And then the last two, just a Bottomless and a Torrential. Great cards, why not? So that is the main deck, but we shall move on to our extra deck. We have the majestic Chevalier de Fleur, and I may have just butchered her name, so I apologise if I did. But yeah, once per turn, during your turn only, you can negate a spell or trap card, essentially, and destroy it. So it's basically a She-N, but only during your turn, but it's on a 2/7 body, and let's face it, that's not a massive issue because it's during your turn, so as long as you destroy whatever you want when you bring this out, whatever your opponent does on their next turn, you know, regardless of whether they destroy this or not, at least it's got protection during the turn you summon it. So that's always nice. And you can summon Pilica, special summon Quickdraw with Pilica's effect from your graveyard, and you instantly make this. So a card that's really good and is very easy to make, and that's why I'm running 2. So yeah. Stardust, it's wind. Again, the turn you use Pilica's effect, for the rest of the turn you can only summon wind monsters. So Stardust is a good generic, which is wind, and stops mass removal, of course. Junk Destroyer, the last level 8. When you bring this out, you're pretty much always going to pop 1 card, if not 2, on the field, so what's not to love, really? And then we move to our level 7s. See, I really like this hybrid because you have a really nice mix of Gusto Synchron, exclusive synchros, and a few generics splashed in, such as Black Rose Dragon. It's not as easy to make as these two rank 7 choices in the deck, because with Quickdraw you only need a level 2 non-tuner to make both of these, whereas this can't be summoned with Quickdraw. However, it's still not impossible to bring out. You can bring it out easily enough with certain cards. And hey, it's Black Rose Dragon, you pretty much have to include it if you have a decent way of making it, so it's too good not to. Otherwise, beat stick and banish problem cards to the end phase, and if it's an Exceed, take their material. So yeah, that is the level 7s. Now level 6s. Finally got my second Sphreez. Took me a while watching it on eBay, but here we go. Our beautiful sort of evolved form of Pilica, of course, with the orange and green hair. And yeah, this is the reason a lot of people love/hate Gustos, because it makes it that your opponent takes all battered damage you would take, and obviously your recruiters have really low attack, so you just bash them into your opponent, recruit more, bash them into your opponent, kill them. So as Konami seem to have this power curve where they make cards harder and harder to kill, these quill paths, or however you pronounce it, and shadows and whatever else, seem quite hard to get around. So having the ability to just crash into them and win the game without even having to kill the monsters is just great. Not to mention that you get to grab a Gusto card from your graveyard when this is summoned. So all in all, fantastic card. One of the best, really. And with Pilica, you can bring it out with 1 turn by grabbing Guldo. One other level 6, because you make them quite easy. Psychic Nightmare. Because sometimes you don't want to risk leaving something on the field. Even though you'd usually like to crash into them with recruiters, sometimes you just need to get over something. And this card's effect, you pick 1 random card in your opponent's hand and call if it's a monster, spell or trap. And if you call it right, this gains 1,000 attack until your opponent's next end phase. So let's be honest, if you've been paying attention, you've got a pretty good chance of guessing right. And if you do, it's a 3/4 beat stick. So it will get over practically anything you need it to if you guess correctly, and from my experience it's not hard to guess, and because it's wind you can get it out with Pilica's effect, so I think it's pretty useful. I mean, I do go into it occasionally. So level 5s, you can make 2 synchros in 1 turn quite often, so getting an extra draw is lovely with a librarian. Catasta, well, usually for monster removal, you'd go for the Guldos, but Catastrophe's there for if you don't have monsters in your graveyard to use Guldos's effect with, or if your opponent only has face down monsters, and that's what Catastrophe's there for. I would like an Armades, but unfortunately I don't have it. Bit too rich for my blood, unfortunately. But yeah, just shuffling 2 monsters from your graveyard into your deck to destroy one face-up monster your opponent controls is very useful. So they're the level 5s. And then finally, a Falcos increases attack of all Gustos by 600, so don't go into it often, but it's nice to have the option to just get that extra damage on board. I don't have much of a side deck, but I've put a few cards together. It's not the best, but hey. 2 creature swaps, because decks that like to sit on one monster are hurt by this especially, and it doesn't target, so it's really good to side the ones that you're not playing. 2 My Body as a Shield, or My Body as a Swag, as a certain YouTuber likes to call it. But yeah, the Light Swans are very popular at the moment. So this says no to Judgment Dragon, it says no to Black Rose Dragon, it says no to a lot of things. And push comes to shove, I mean, because it's a quick play, you can keep it in your hand, make your play, and if you get Torrential to Bottomless, it works against that too, so it's not too bad. It's pretty solid. Book of Moon, 2 Trapstones. If you're against a trap heavy deck, you don't want that to be a problem, really, simply put. So I think it's risky to main 3 Trapstones, so I prefer to keep 2 of them in the side rather. This isn't so much an issue now, but when Shadows come out, I feel this could be more useful, because you can only special summon once per your turn when Midrash is out. So being able to summon on your opponent's turn could be handy. Although, having said that, I don't suppose it would be easy to win against Midrash even with that in mind. 2 Mind Crush. A lot of deck search now. Although my side deck isn't quite how I'd like it to be, I think I'd still want this in it, just because it says no to so many things. Kills combos. Just says no, screw you, you're not having it, what you've just searched. Deep Prison for hands. Magic Cylinder, because if someone's suicidal and likes to damage themselves with soul charges and solemn warnings, then you can make them pay for it. Divine Wrath, because it gets around anything, so if you're against some sort of gimmicky Stardust Assault mode deck, then hey, there we go. Although you can usually just crash into things, so there is that. And then, because I didn't know what else to put in, and my side deck options aren't great at the moment, we're going for Totem Bird for that extra spell and trap. Negation. So yeah, that was my my deck profile, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is my first video, so I apologise if I did anything wrong, and I apologise if the video is a bit shaky, because I am holding it. I've been trying to find a tripod or balancing my phone against something, but nothing just seems to work, so I just had to hold it. So I apologise for that, but I hope the deck profile was enlightening for you all. And yeah, this is my Gusto Synchron build, and thank you for watching. Please just if you enjoyed the video, comment, like, subscribe. I know everyone says that, but I'm just starting out, so all the support I can get is great. Plus I will be publishing more videos like this. I do plan to upload some deck profiles which are a bit more rogue, a bit more outlandish, so you might not see every day, because it's pointless just posting things that everyone does, right? So yeah, I'll let you go now and I'll shut up, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.